Hey, bunny fucker over here. We're talking about the recent situation with WeebCon being strong-armed by Niji to remove false IDs post about him in the wrong neighborhood, which is a meme, it's a funny haha moment, and how the company is going about this is warning the con into talking shit about them among the Japanese VAs to make it so that these VAs won't go into next year's WeebCon, which is this year, by the way, 2024. So essentially, WeebCon is put between a rock and a hard place, and to preserve themselves, they contacted False and to have that post taken down, which False eventually put back up a year later. Yeah, it seems like False has been sitting on this screenshot for an entire year, waiting for the NDA to expire is what a lot of people are saying, but I'm too lazy to verify that. Not that it's important anyway. Now, what is important actually is some context as to why this is relatively interesting. NIJISANJI apparently, not apparently by the looks of it, has been looking at FalseEyeD, Kyo, and I would actually now suppose myself among other people in the scene, and is perhaps doing a lot of things to character assassinate us to their buddies, ruin our names to people behind the scenes. And the reason why I think that's very likely is because NIJISANJI is just that petty, and it happens a lot in multiple industries, not just here. Now, over a year ago, they strike Kyo and False twice, threatening their channels. And False did say some time ago that he had something big that was going to happen in April, and a lot of people thought that this was going to be it. And it seems like it is, because this situation happened in April 12, 2023, just a few months after he actually got striked. And False has been complaining about how people are apparently hyping up what he was going to drop when he first teased what he had in store for April, and I suppose this was the reason. Because, this is kinda not that big. Honestly, it's really not that big. A lot of imaginations were being flared when he mentioned that at the time. Probably thinking of graduations or terminations going on, especially with how False is already well connected and perhaps has his own insiders within NIJISANJI. That seemed to be what was going on. But this in of itself is not that big of a deal. But to False it is though, and we'll get to that later. In any case, WeebCon, in their own words, is cutting ties with Niji next year, which is this year. They literally intended to cut Niji out before the Niji drama even happened, which is 200 IQ future sight jacking into Cerebro kind of move, bro. They got the impression that Niji was going to be a liability to some of these events and places next year, and they guessed correctly. It's actually impressive. Yeah, but you may think that cons are dropping Niji left, right, and center, especially since they got dropped by Off-Kai for their own safety, but Anime Impulse is still having them on May, so I don't think that's necessarily true, but it seems like a lot of organizers are considering it at the very least. Although I do hope that everything goes well in that con. Nobody comes over there to harass the livers, pick fights with certain people, nothing to ruin the experience, because holy shit, that would be so bad. Now, as to why this is kind of a big deal for False, because he also says this in his video.
And hopefully now answering some questions that viewers and users may have been asking regarding some of my activity on Twitter these past 2 months. As with the knowledge that NIJISANJI is actively viewing and targeting my social media, that has been, from time to time, influencing what I am tweeting, what I am retweeting, and perhaps who I am responding to.
Now this implies that the reason he's been nerve-wracked and is lashing out on his Twitter sometimes is because he knows he's being watched by Niji. Among all the drama, news, and what have YouTubers, it seems like he has always been public enemy number 1 for NIJISANJI since 2023, especially here in the EN side of things. Before the silent termination happened, he seemed to have forced himself to be more composed and be as neutral towards NIJISANJI as he possibly could, while still letting people know that he kinda dislikes Niji. But now that public opinion is entirely against the company, now that the gauntlet has been thrown down, he no longer has to do that. He's going full mask off, full ham. He no longer has a reason to attempt even being slightly professional towards NIJISANJI anymore, especially since Niji was never even remotely as close to professional towards him in the first place either. Niji didn't even try, which, you know what? I get it. I'm sure False isn't the only one that's being targeted by similar maneuvers by other companies and communities in this scene. It happens to everyone. Happens to me, Kyo, Parrot, Rima. I know most corpos have blacklisted yours truly, but I'm yet to be aware of any conspiracies or attempts at my online career or my friends like this. which is interesting because it makes me want to investigate myself. So with that in mind, I kinda now understand why False sometimes gets all menhera and very upset and seems to have a personal vendetta against NIJISANJI that seems to go beyond the striking of his channel. You know, it's personal for False. And you know what? You know, you guys can have all the debate on whether or not False should do this, but I get where he's coming from. Then again, I could just be overthinking, you know, putting words in his mouth, fucking going on my entire fucking rat schizo moment episode, whatever. Anyway, yeah, I don't really have that much to say over this situation. It really is clear-cut, Niji bad. I don't think it alone warrants a stream, which is why I decided to make this small video in the second channel instead. Yeah, that's about it. See ya.